All right, guys, so let's get started. Welcome back to a special edition episode of Inder University. Normally, I do these on Tuesdays or Thursdays, depending. I have a topic lined up for the week. But given that the server's down and we have a brand new map coming, I want to put together a quick presentation on everything you need to know for getting started on the new map. What we're going to be talking about today are the map changes, so the spawn locations of the mobs or the neutral minions on the map, the neutral Pokemon. I want to talk a little bit about the physical aspect of the map itself, and just to get you guys thinking about kind of the things that I'm going to be thinking about approaching the new map, in terms of how the map looks like. Wild Pokemon, so there's new buffs. The buffs do different effects, and the objectives, all the objectives on the map have been changed, so we're going to talk about that. And then, not related to the map itself, but a new balance update that we have on the test server, most likely going to be making its way to the live server as well, is around how Unite moves have been changed. So keep an eye out for that. It's not really related to the new map, and it might be subject to change, but assuming it's not, there's a lot of really important changes, I think, that are going overlooked right now. Before we get started with today's Inder University, just wanted to take a shout out to all the helpful people that make this presentation possible. A lot of the resources, whether it's Unite DB or the math cord, that's where I'm getting a lot of the information from. I'm not able to just produce this off the top of my head. The math cord members all have been very responsive, very, very helpful. Reddit user by the name of Nami Dashu, they uploaded some really helpful graphics. So if you want to check them out as well, there's some new graphics that they have up for the map in terms of spawn timers and whatnot. You might have seen it on Twitter, on Reddit. So keep an eye out for that. And then Pillspoon, my girlfriend, she helped put together this presentation last second. We added some new things in this in terms of how it looks. So I'm pretty excited for you guys to see that. So yeah, number one, map changes. What's going on? So this is a graphic that was provided to us by Team Shiny, as you can see, or that Reddit user, Nami Dashu. That's where I got it from, at least. I hope they're the ones that created it. One thing I want you guys to take a look at, compared to the old map, the map's kind of been stretched out a little bit. I'll address the arrows that we're looking at as well in a moment. But as you can see, like all across the map, different wild Pokemon. In the top lane, instead of having those Apoms on each end of the top lane for each side, we just have 3 of these little birds. I think we'll call them birds. I think they're Natus or Zatus. That's interesting. In the jungle where we had the Lillipup or the dog, that would travel towards the blue buff. So it'd be top side on the green side, and then bottom side on the desert side. They spawn mid and they don't move anymore. And because they don't move anymore, and I'm pretty sure this is an intentional change that was made, is that now the buffs are all on the same side. So the red buff is on the top side for either end, and the blue buff is on the bottom side for either end. So for competitive, what this means is, unless there's other imperfections on the map is completely symmetrical now, which is going to be interesting. In the past, in competitive, we definitely had map favorites, like in terms of which side you were playing on. The top side, when you're on desert side, was closer to the red buff, so you could get harassed as the jungler. Jungler could come out early to gank. The blue buff would be on the top side. Sometimes Sylveons would play around that to just be able to give the bottom side buff to their teammates. A lot of different variations we had in the past. I think a lot of that's going to be gone now. But what this does mean is, if we look at the top, it looks like there's less farm on the top side. We'll only know this when we have XP values, right? But assuming they've intentionally made less EXP on the top side and more on the bottom, such that either playing like solo lane top laner, 2 jungle, 2 bottom, or maybe a roamer, maybe tri-lane bottom. It seems like top might be solo lane, right? Which means if top is solo, the junglers that can gank top are going to be ganking with red buff. So this is probably just going to be like a very common thing. Like a jungler could 1 buff into top, and someone could take the bottom buff from the bottom lane. A lot of different things can happen on the map. The other thing you might notice are, or what we used to call the bees, are now Swablues or Altaria. These And the timer down here is wrong. These are going to continue to spawn at 850 as they would on our normal game. And then 1 minute 30 after every spawn period. There's still that irregularity when the towers break and they get pushed back and the spawn gets pushed back a little bit earlier. I think those timers have also been adjusted, but we haven't really figured out what that looks like. The most important part about these new bees, though, are that there's a middle set of bees that spawn as well, or the middle set of Swablues. These spawn at 8 minutes. They too spawn 1:30 after one another, and they spawn 1:30 after one another on the dot, as far as I could observe in the test server. But yeah, 850 for both bottom and top. You might see 905. That's what it was when the test server first launched, but now they're officially 850 for each one. So yeah, it's interesting. I mean, there's gonna just more farm on the map, or more places to get farm. Who knows if the XP values have been changed and how different they might be. The other thing I want to draw your attention to are these sets of walls right here. This wall, even from the start of the game onwards, is not passable. This is like impassable terrain, which kind of like makes like the mid area a coliseum in a way, where that Pokemon that have movement abilities that can jump over walls are gonna have at least some kind of advantage on this map. Who knows, like there might be other things that might be more important that we haven't been able to figure out, but just my early impressions are things like Dive Cram, anything that has wall jumps, maybe Machamp with dynamic, maybe Lucario, whatever it might be. There's a lot of opportunities to juke. There's a lot of farm here. There's other walls around the map. There's more crevices. There appear to be more bushes on the bottom side as well. Or at least it feels like there are. Maybe there aren't actually more. But yeah, I feel like this map is going to open up opportunities for a lot of juking. And early players on this map, like if you want an advantage, honestly, like I can just imagine playing like Greedent. If you can jump over this wall as Greedent in the early game, it'd be so annoying with invades. Number 2, so wild Pokemon. We talked a little bit about wild Pokemon, but I wanted to talk about what the new buffs do for us. So starting off, we've got Accelgor, who is the blue buff. We used to have Ludicolo here. Rest in peace, Ludicolo. We'll miss him a lot. The old blue buff, what it used to do was it increased your damage done to neutrals. Neutrals, once they would get below 30%, you would deal bonus damage to them. It no longer does that. Now, the new blue buff provides you with a buff that provides you straight 20% cooldown reduction for the next 70 seconds. Everything else is the same. You know, it spawns at 9:45, respawns 1 minute after it dies. But 20% cooldown reduction is absolutely broken, guys. If this is what we get on live, because this is what's on test server right now, I'm saying right now, a lot of mage type Pokemon, I've got Delphox, but think Cramorant, Delphox, Sylveon's going to benefit from this as well. I'm going to talk about Dragonite in a second, but all those mage type of Pokemon are going to see a huge bonus on the new map. So imagine any character you've been playing with emblems, that CDR that they have, you're just going to have more of it. Like you're going to have either more of it or the same amount you get from emblems. Now, the reason I've got Dragonite up here is if you know this popular meme that's been going around where you put Shell Bell Amp and the 8% from emblems for a total of 17% to go infinite on your Dragon Dance. And when I say infinite, that you don't need to use your auto attacks between Dragon Dance autos. If you could do that with 17%, you could do it even easier with 20%. So Dragonites that look to jungle with this blue buff, your map mobility is going to feel so much nicer. I don't think D-Knight's going to be able to jump over that mid wall. So that'll be rough, but with a large map and a character that already has access to so much farm on the map, like D-Dance is already going to be good without blue buff, right? And it's going to be even better with the blue buff. But there's just so much farm. There's ball toys in corners. You're going to get a lot of resets off that. Obviously, yeah, Glaceon with Icy Wind going infinite on that's going to be really, really strong. Just 20% flat cooldown reduction like this is just too broken. You'd be hard pressed to find damage dealers that aren't going to appreciate this. So this is amazing. Escavalier, the red buff. The Bouffalant, right? It's the old red buff that we're going to be losing, sadly. The notes here aren't actually accurate. I got confirmation on this, but the old red buff, what it simply applied a slow on your basic attacks, whether you're ranged or melee. So that lasted 2 seconds. Every auto would refresh the duration of the slow. The new red buff maintains that aspect, but now it deals damage. Now, a lot of people have been going around saying that, oh, red buff is the old blue buff with old red buff combined, and that's wrong. It's not actually the old blue buff effect. The new red buff on the test server, so it's subject to change, obviously, is it provides a damage over time effect that works on both neutrals and opposing Pokemon. So it actually is going to improve the damage output of auto attack based Pokemon. And if the damage over time is really, really strong, one of the things that might be possible to optimize your damage output is getting red buff on as many targets as you can in a team fight. So this is going to be really, really powerful, guys. I mean, it depends, obviously, on the values, if the damage is meaningful or not. But there's one thing about damage over time abilities in this game that's really, really cringe, is that the last hit is what matters, right? On an objective. And imagine you get something down to really low and you have them red buffed. You're just going to get incidental last hits on objectives, right? Even if you're not actively hitting it anymore. So the buffs seem to be very strong. But again, if the damage over time isn't a significant amount, it might not really matter. I imagine, though, that it's going to be really good. Razor Leaf Decidueye, I'm not sure if each Razor Leaf auto is going to proc the damage over time. I mean, I guess if the old blue buff did, there's no reason why this wouldn't. But it might have an internal cooldown, right? So I'm not sure. If it works with like multi-hit kind of abilities, even more broken. But again, like, think typical junglers are going to use this, but honestly, any Pokemon that's ranged is going to be really, really, really strong with this. If the burn is percent HP based, any value will be broken if it's percent HP based. 1% max HP per second sounds ridiculous. I hope it's not. I really just hope it's like a ratio or something, guys. Like, it's like 25% of your attack and it does like 4 ticks or whatever, right? Or maybe even less than that, like 12.5. I think developers should not rely on percent HP mechanics so much. But anyway, moving on. So that's our jungle buffs. Let me take you to the bottom lane of the map now. You might have seen that instead of Dreadnought, we have the 3 Regis, the 3 Gen 3 Regis, right? This is from the Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald era. I believe, yeah. Regis are Gen 3. These ones, at least. In the bottom lane, 1 of 3 different Regis can spawn. So there's Regi Ice, Regi Steel, and Regi Rock. You can have multiple of them spawn. So you could literally go Regi Ice 1, 2, 3, your Regi Rock 1, 2, 3, Regi Rock 1, 2, etc. It's completely random. You'll never know. You won't be able to predict it. So they spawn at 7 minutes, just like Dread. They respawn 2 minutes after they KO. Like Dreadnought, they do provide map team-wide experience globally. What's not confirmed is if the value is the same. It doesn't appear to be the same amount of XP as Dreadnought. I'm almost certain it's been nerfed, like, significantly. But the main aspect of the Regis is that each individual different one provides a different effect. So Regi Ice provides HP recovery for a short time, which, from the looks of it, there's going to be more information as we play the game more. But from the looks of it, it's just providing you with a heal over time, or improving your base HP rate. So it's nice to have. It's kind of like, you know, having what you would expect from leftovers, and that maybe you'll gain some HP out of fights. Pokemon that I can initially think of that might benefit from a Regi Ice buff are things like Greedent and Trevenant, who have HP bars that go up and down. Maybe Sylveon as well. And then Giga Drain Venusaur, similar kind of idea. Pokemon that are tanky, they rely on healing, their health bar, you know, they have high max HP potentially. But it doesn't look like the buffs are that significant in terms of the power level. But it isn't a major objective on the map, still worth going to. Obviously, in terms of what's meta, what's good to go for, we'll see. I just want to give you guys the baseline information on what actually is going on. Regi Rock. So this is the defense Regi. It does the same things that the other Regis do, but instead of HP recovery, it provides you with defense and special defense. I haven't been able to confirm if that's a percentage-based buff that you get or a flat buff that you get, but I imagine regardless, it's going to be good on certain types of characters. Like Tyranitar has good flat defenses and good percentage-based defenses already. So if you increase it by a flat amount, his percentage will benefit. If you increase it by a percentage-based amount, it'll synergize well with his existing percentage and his flat. And Tyranitar's got shields or damage reduction depending on which route you go. So I imagine this buff will benefit a Pokemon like Tyranitar really, really well. Blissey, a Pokemon that's got a really high health pool but low defenses, can benefit from this. Now, if it's percentage-based, obviously, because Blissey already has low baseline defenses, it won't be as good. If it's flatline, it'll be a lot better for Blissey. Obviously, like Aegislash, like you mentioned, Zen. Any Pokemon that has like low defenses could appreciate this very much as well. And then I threw in Crustle in there. It'll be interesting to see what the Shell Smash interaction is going to be. Currently, Shell Smash doesn't remove attack or defenses gained from items, but we don't know, obviously, what will happen with Regirock. It could just be a brand new interaction. You might maintain them, you might not, but it's a Pokemon that's got a large amount of shields in the Unite move, so extra defenses can be helpful. The other thing to note is because this Regi gives defenses and it's the only one that makes you actively tankier, if the third Regi of the game is Regirock, I think it might be more valuable, because if you can keep it to have during Rayquaza, and spoiler on how Rayquaza works, your Rayquaza shield will be harder to break. It's a minor thing, obviously. It's just going to depend on which buff's probably best for the team fight, but just throwing that out there, that might be another thing to think about. And the last of the three bottom lane Regis is Registeel. This is the offensive one. Don't be confused by its steel appearance. It provides your team with attack and special attack for a short time. Like the defenses, we don't know if this is going to be flat attack or flat special attack or percentage based. But some Pokemon that come to mind that are going to benefit from this really heavily. Lucario, obviously, a Pokemon notorious for excelling with higher stats. So higher attack means bigger shield from their passive, bigger healing from extreme speed, and more damage output from their moves, obviously. That will be really powerful for them. Azumarill, Pokemon that can always crit, so increasing their baseline stats is really strong, and their Unite move provides them with an attack bonus as well. So if this is percentage based and you can scale that off of their Unite move, that could be really, really powerful combination for Azumarill. And Sylveon, Calm Mind provides you with percentage based special attack. Might be something that would benefit Sylveon more so than other Pokemon. Obviously, this is going to be subject to change in terms of what we're going to get from the test server, but pretty sure this is what we'll see on live, is you'll get some kind of attack buff. It's going to benefit any kind of damage healers. These ones are the more interesting ones that I think about. And then let me take you to the top lane of the map. Don't be confused by the name Regi. This is a brand new Regi. I think this is a Pokemon that's tormented the VGC for years. And I have a feeling that this might torment Unite gamers for some time as well. This is a new Rotom. It spawns in the top lane. Similar to Rotom, once you knock it down and it'll join your team. If it walks into an enemy goal, it'll make it defenseless, allow you to freely score on it. So in that aspect, it's just like Rotom. The way it's not like Rotom, though, is that this thing is very, very, very strong. It's got, I don't know if it's got Electro Web or what, but it's got like a couple electric type moves that deal a crazy amount of damage. It's got this one move that shoots out in like it's almost like a fidget spinner. It shoots out in 3 directions. Imagine a fidget spinner. And if you're at the center of it, you can get hit by all 3. And it's like, the couple of games I played on the test server, they were doing like 1,200 damage per beam. So if you stack on all of them, you'll take like almost 4K damage. So from what I can see, sieging with Regieleki might be better. Obviously, a lot of different things are going to happen on the new map, right? So it's hard to predict exactly before we get to play the game what the meta is going to be like. But I imagine some of the things people are going to be trying are sieging down with Regieleki. Just because the amount of damage it does, it's the only thing in the game that can make a goalpost defenseless. So what that does is, like, you know, if you get the last Regi of the game, you can, or last Regieleki of the game, I should say, the third Regieleki, and you can walk into the enemy core. It's like getting Zapdos, right? I mean, it was already like getting Zapdos, and it's a win condition. But it might be like a win condition that people go for because Rayquaza might not be as powerful. We'll see. Pokemon that come to mind for me that might be good to use alongside Regieleki are Pokemon that are good to go for sieges. So I'm thinking Delphox and Blastoise, like big Unite moves. If you go Surf or Horn Leech on Trevenant or Blastoise respectively, you can knock people away. You can knock Regieleki towards your team to secure it. And then a couple properties about Regieleki I should have mentioned is Rotom, if you recall, when it would take damage, it's the damage that it would take as a neutral Pokemon would be permanent. As in, if you went and hit it, it wouldn't go and start healing its health like Dreadnought would. And like how Zapdos says, it wouldn't leash, as you may say. Regieleki leashes. It'll heal back up. So, you know, it's not a big deal. It's just something to keep in mind. You'll realize very soon after you're playing it, but it's an interesting aspect. And then other things, like Rotom, you can Leaf Tornado Regieleki. You can heal it with Eldegoss's Unite move. You can Buddy Barrier it. And you can also use Mr. Mime's Guard Swap on it. And Mr. Mime's Guard Swap has been buffed so that it heals at level 6 immediately. And the heal is a pretty significant amount. So if Regieleki does end up being as powerful as some people anticipate, and if Mr. Mime is playable, because it's got some pretty good buffs coming onto the live server, sieging with Guard Swap Mr. Mime and Regieleki might be something you see in the future. It's interesting. And then finally, the final boss, the new Zapdos, RIP to Zapdos, is Rayquaza. Knocking down Rayquaza provides your team with a shield that increases your goals or your score speed on goals. It also gives you Unstoppable, similar to Score Shield. So it pretty much gives you a Score Shield the moment you knock down Rayquaza. The thing is that shield doesn't activate when you go to score. It's just on you. You just have a passive shield. And if that shield gets broken, it doesn't have a timer, so it'll last until the end of the game. But say you go and flip Rayquaza and the entire enemy team is there, they can just fight you, break the shield, and then you lose that buff. You don't get that increased score speed. You don't have that shield anymore. And you're not going to have massive movement speed from Unite moves, which I'm about to talk about. So that traditional kind of like flip strategy and score is going to be a lot less viable. But think about the buff you get from Rayquaza as a built-in goal getter. I think it reduces or increases your score speed by the same amount. And then also a built-in score shield as well. Things that I don't know, that are questions I also have that we're going to be looking at, are if you have other shields, will that stack with the Rayquaza shield? My guess is no, right? Old Buddy Barrier, you used to be able to activate it before you scored with a score shield, and you would get that massive shield when turning in. I don't think the Rayquaza shield is going to operate like it used to with Score Shield. I think it'll be new Score Shield. The other thing is, I'm fairly certain that Score Shield will stack with the Rayquaza buff. It doesn't really matter if it goes before or after, as long as there's like parity in the shield, which I imagine there would be. So Score Shield might be stronger. Score comp types of strategies might be viable. Running Goal Getter and Score Shield along, going for Rayquaza in this game could be good. I see a lot of talks about Tyranitar damaging through shields. So that'll be one thing to keep an eye out for, is if Tyranitar's true damage will instantly stop scores, or if it won't interact with it at all. My guess is that it might just stop scores really easily. So that'll be interesting to see, but it might not. If the damage just goes through, then we'll see. I think Azumarill used to not when it had Aqua Tail, and I think Charizard's damage wouldn't stop scores on Score Shield either. But there's a brand new mechanic. Tyranitar is a brand new Pokemon, so I'm gonna wait to reserve my judgment for the new map. So it might not. I wouldn't be surprised if they've changed things. So that's just something to keep an eye out for as you're playing the game. The other thing that I don't have listed here that Rayquaza does is, I believe the team that wins Rayquaza, enemy goalposts that are broken get transformed into speed, like these speed circles, which is something that Rayquaza does. It's like speed stream or something like that. So yeah, that might help in terms of sieging. You take down one of their goalposts and then you get a speed bonus to keep going. So that might kind of help alleviate the fact that it's going to be a lot harder to score now, but we'll see. Snorlax block going to be a lot more annoying. Defending will actually be a thing, which is exciting, guys. I'm definitely stoked to see that. What I hope is that the winning team isn't put too much of an advantage, right? Like, if you're just up, like, will Rayquaza make enough of a difference? And I think it still will, but we'll have to see. It might do it for all goals. Yeah, just know that Rayquaza throws out these speed streams on enemy or on goalposts. But cool. So that, we've talked about the map. We've talked about the new wild Pokemon. Now, obviously there's ball toys that have replaced the core fish. There's Indeedis that have replaced the Audinos. But those seem more like vanity or like visual changes, more so than anything that would have a significant gameplay impact. XP values might be changed, no idea. One thing that I do want to talk about, and I feel like enough people aren't talking about this, is the new changes to Unite moves. So in the past, Unite moves provided 80% move speed, 20% or 30% CDR. I already forgot. I think it's 30% CDR. Yeah. No, it used to be 20% CDR, right? And then it provided attack speed. It provided 20% attack speed as well, or it might have been 35% attack speed. Provided some amount of attack speed, and I think a 30% shield. It provided all of that to every Pokemon that used a Unite move for 8 seconds. It was broken. It made Unite moves ridiculous. Now, Unite moves have been nerfed all across the board. And it depends on which Pokemon you're playing, on what buffs you'll get. So this might look overwhelming. Let's pick one Pokemon. I'm a Hoopa player. So I'll look at Hoopa. So if I look at Hoopa here, in the movement speed column, now when Hoopa unites, they get a 30% move speed buff, which used to be 80%. Yellow means it's in parity in what it used to be. Red is worse. Green means it's good compared to before. So Hoopa gets they lose 50% of the movement speed buff. Like plus 50% is gone. They don't get any attack speed, right? Hoopa's attack speed in their unbound form was a big portion of their damage. So that's just completely gone. The cooldown reduction's been increased slightly. This is powerful. This, I think, if I'm right, this should allow you to use one additional Hyperspace Fury in your Unite move, in your Unbound form. So 30% CDR in the Unite form for Hoopa should be powerful. That's good. And then instead of getting a 30% shield when you Unite, you'll get a 20% shield. So that's how you would read it for Hoopa. But if you look at any of your favorite Pokemon here, you'll notice that a lot of them have received some pretty significant nerfs. Pokemon like Machamp is one I was talking about in our Discord, where Machamp no longer gets attack speed, so you don't get to punch people as hard. And most importantly, you lose so much movement speed. Losing movement speed for these melee Pokemon is devastating. Like Tyranitar, Machamp, a lot of these Pokemon rely on being incredibly quick to be able to deal damage out of their Unite moves. And it's possible that they're going to get kited a lot easier now. For Pokemon like Ninetales, like you're going to keep your cooldown reduction, but you don't have attack speed anymore. Attack speed was a big part of Ninetales' Unite move when you're playing Aurora Veil. That's when you lose a smaller shield as well. Cramorant now gets no CDR. So if you're playing Air Slash Dive and you ever wanted to cancel your ult to just, spam Air Slashes, you won't be able to do that. Now, one thing you have to consider is that because Blue Buff exists, some of these Pokemon probably needed some kind of nerf. And also something I found out today I didn't even know, so you learn something new every day, is that there's a cap on CDR. I think the cap is 60%. So, this 30%, you have to kind of put it in context. If you've got 30% from here and Blue Buff and you're playing a mage, you're going to go over the cap really, really easily. Yeah, I don't know if that's brand new news or if the people have known about this for a while. I had no idea. I learned this today. But yeah, I'm sad about Hoopa losing the attack speed, but if you look at the chart, a lot of Pokemon are losing their attack speed, It's pretty much a mechanic that's only going to exist on the ADC type of characters and Serena for whatever reason. Zorora gets one of every buff. It's I think the only Pokemon in the game that's going to get one of everything, but it gets the worst version of everything. The Speedsters minus Zorora are the only Pokemon that are going to maintain the super fast speed, the 80%. Charizard, while technically they lose the buff portion of attack speed and cooldown reduction, this was never a aspect that was used for them, because attack speed literally does nothing for Charizard, and Charizard spent their Unite move duration in the Unite in the flying form, where you can't cast your moves anyway, so the CDR was never impactful anyway. Dodrio and Scyther are also 80%, so it seems like speedsters definitely keep 80%, which is cool. So yeah, Charizard will be faster than most Pokemon in their Unite form, which is good, but overall will be slower. Trevenant, only defender that doesn't get a better shield. Blastoise gets it, Crustle gets it, Gradient gets it, Slowbro gets it. Yeah, it looks like Trevenant, for whatever reason, doesn't get a bigger shield. They also don't get any CDR. Trevenant CDR was really, really powerful to keep horn leeching people. Losing that's going to be pretty big. I think this column, the CDR mechanic, is what a lot of people are going to miss on characters that don't have it anymore. I don't know how many people pay attention to the fact that you're getting a massive amount of cooldown reduction when you Unite, but it was real, and you're just not going to have it anymore. Blissey, for whatever reason, gets a 40% shield. I mean, this makes their Unite move obviously better. No CDR on Blissey's Unites. Or no, Blissey also gets... Or Blissey doesn't get the big shield. They get the CDR. Okay. That's probably more balanced, I think. I don't know. 30% CDR on eggs is crazy. Blastoise getting a big shield is like nice, but their ult already gives them a big shield based on their special attack, so I don't know how valuable that is. But yeah, Trevenant's Unite looks really, really bad now, guys. I don't know if they went overboard or not with these nerfs, but yeah, these shields stack with Buddy. These shields we've always gotten. You've always gotten a 30% shield. Like, every Pokemon used to exist on this yellow spectrum, guys. Every Pokemon in the game with 80% attack speed, 35%, or 80% move speed, not attack speed. 80% move speed, 35% attack speed, 20% CDR, and a 30% shield. Trev not going back to F tier, but it's going to be rough for a lot of Pokemon. It's going to be a lot of adjusting to be done as well. I think this is healthy for the game, though. I think this is very healthy for the game, guys. The reason why I think it's very healthy, and I had to mention this on someone on Twitter, someone was saying, isn't this going to make it a lot harder to balance the game? And I think it's complete opposite. I think this makes the game so much easier to balance. Because anytime you have like additional levers that you can fine tune, it's going to be so much easier. Like, if, you know, in the past, like, Delphox was broken when it used its Unite because of the CDR it gets, right? Now, if it's like, if they want to nerf it, they can just nerf the CDR component of it without nerfing something like Espeon, who might not deserve that nerf, you know? So I think these changes are healthy. I think the move speed reduction is healthy for flips. 80% move speed, like doubling your MS, was too broken. No one deserved to get it. And now the speedsters get it, which makes sense. They're speedsters. I'm okay with that. So I think these are good changes. Obviously, these are subject to change as well, guys. This might not make it to live in these same values. So I would say, you know, follow Mathcord if you want to get updates on it. I have a resources channel in my Discord as well, where you can see all the resources that I use are lined up, and this chart is in there as well. And I'll update this chart as we get a new one, as more testing is done. That concludes my presentation. Thank you guys all for tuning in. Special edition of Inder's Notes. Again, shout out to all the resources that help make this happen. And yeah, good luck to everyone on the new map. It's going to be a lot to learn. It's going to be a big learning curve. I think they're overall healthy changes for the game. I'm sad that Zapdos is leaving, but a lot of cool stuff coming our way, guys. So, cool things to be proud of.